Well, this is Al Jazeera, and these are the stories making the headlines. The United States says it will support the expulsion of Libya from the United Nations Human Rights Council. Meanwhile, the Swiss government has frozen assets belonging to Muammar Gaddafi. These just the latest moves in the Libya situation, and coming after the colonel himself made another speech on state TV, this time blaming Osama bin Laden for the uprising in his country. He also reiterated his belief that many of the protesters have been acting under the influence of drugs.
The demands come from bin Laden. You, Azawiyah people, are substituting the popular and Jamahiriya system with bin Laden. Bin Laden cells have been operating here for months. His operatives are provoking and brainwashing your children, inciting them to launch attacks. The enemy perpetrating the killings of our children, operating from mosques or elsewhere. Bin Laden and his operatives are providing your children with hallucination pills. Those are the true perpetrators. Arrest them and bring them to court.
Well, meanwhile, these are exclusive pictures that we have obtained from the town of Azawiyah. Witnesses there have told Al Jazeera that at least 100 people were killed in heavy fighting today. The town is just 50 kilometers west of Tripoli. And some of Libya's tribal leaders have been meeting in the town of Al Baida in the country's east. They've been calling for an end to Gaddafi's 40-year rule. Anti-government protesters seized control of that city on Friday after they were joined by the local police force. Now, in other news away from Libya, the WikiLeaks founder, Julian Assange, is planning to appeal a court decision which ruled that he can be extradited to Sweden. 2 women in Sweden have accused him of rape and sexual assaults, but his lawyers say he won't get a fair trial if he's sent back to Stockholm. Rescuers in New Zealand are losing hope of finding any more survivors from the earthquake that hit the city of Christchurch. A government minister has said the death toll now stands at 102, with more than 220 listed as still missing. More than 24 hours have now passed with no further.
Hello and welcome. How powerful is the movement for change in the Middle East becoming as it draws in star power and the shared experience of music for the masses? Throughout human history, songs have been used as the anthems of popular uprisings against despots and dictators. And one rock icon is now doing just that for the Arab world. Yusuf Islam, now recording simply as Yusuf, had a string of platinum hits in the 1970s as Cat Stevens. He's just written and recorded My People, a song inspired by the dramatic political turmoil in Egypt. Al Jazeera is bringing you an exclusive look at that song. Take a listen.
My people, see them coming now. My people, can't you hear them shout? My people, every day, everywhere. My people, stop running from. My people, stop stealing from. My people, stop pointing guns at.
That's an excerpt from the song My People, written by Yusuf for the people of Egypt and the rest of the Arab world. And today we ask, how potent is music as an instrument of peaceful social change? Remember, you can send us your questions and comments by SMS or email. Well, joining us now is Yusuf himself, the rock icon who's given us world timeless classics such as Wild World, Father and Son, and of course Peace Train, which he wrote 40 years ago. He's with us from Dubai, where he now lives. Yusuf, it's great to have you back on the show.
Thank you very much, Riz.
Tell me about this new song, My People. I'm just wondering what made you write it and what you hoped it would achieve.
Well, of course, we were watching the developments, what was happening in Egypt and Tunisia, and like many, you know, I was very inspired, and I suddenly wrote this song, you know, called My People. Then we posted it up on Facebook to just get kind of a bit more involvement from people around the world and get them to send in their sort of voices singing the chorus. Then we arranged a session very quickly in Berlin with a few musicians, and you know, all of a sudden the track was there. And Berlin was very special, I think, also because, you know, that's the city which has become a symbol of peace, really, where you know, the wall fell, you know, 2 decades ago, and people were emancipated, you know, allowed to move freely again, and that was the importance of that city. We actually recorded it about 100 yards from where the wall used to be.
So I gather,
you know,
yeah.
So really, this was just an effort by myself, if you like, but also together with a whole lot of people around the world who sent in their voices to send a message of support from free people to people who want to be free.
Tell me about that, because you had so many diverse nationalities contact you, and I know you sampled voices and put it together. How did that work?
Well, you know, they just sent in, I mean, some of them, you know, we couldn't use them, but because they were so noisy and they didn't quite sing in time, but the majority, you know, were perfect, and we just slotted them in, because now you can do it all in digital on, you know, Pro Tools, and so therefore we just lined them up, you know, and then we suddenly, when the first time we heard it, we were just amazed how beautiful that was, this kind of, you know, this moment. Which is kind of historic in a way, getting people to sing together, you know, on a track through Facebook.
Now, so social networking, which has obviously been the trigger for political and social change in the Arab world, and is continuing to be that trigger, also played a part in your song. And I wonder how you regard the way that social networking has developed as a power for change.
Yeah, it's quite an amazing thing, you know, that this sort of internet-generated initiation of a revolution, if you like, you know, could only happen really in these times, you know, with this kind of technology. So people are, you know, using their mobiles, using their computers and their laptops to start something which is quite incredible, because, in fact, I was feeling quite disenchanted, because I was thinking, well, you know, this virtual world, there were so many in this generation right now who are kind of living a virtual life, you know, not quite real. And I thought, you know, I felt a bit sad, because I was thinking about the day of the 60s and how vibrant it all was, you know, when it was all on vinyl and everything. And you could buy actual records, you know, they weren't just things which came on your laptop, you know. So, but then this thing happened, you know, and so it shows you the incredible power the internet can be, you know, when it's used correctly for ideals.
Do you think the Arab world is open to the idea of this kind of unity through music? And of course, music has been such a powerful, you know, factor in so much in the past, in revolutions and so on. Is the Arab world ready for this kind of getting together under a song kind of attitude, or are they still too preoccupied with the politics of what's going on?
I think everybody's always got a bit of a time for a song, you know, and you know, looking back, if you look at the civil rights movement, you know, the era that I grew up in, you know, that was an amazingly powerful instrument for the change and the wind of change which happened, which blew through that time. And, you know, we shall overcome, you've got the times they are changing.